Slacheo, good afternoon. Natosha Gobin Seed Star. My name is Natosha Gobin. I'm excited to share some more lessons with you this week. I just want to recap on the lessons that have been done so far. In our first week, we were able to go over local tribe names. In our second week, we were able to go over Baby's First Lushootseed Words with some drawing lessons by Michelle Miles. Week 3, we were able to go over the Treaty of Point Elliott with Miss Sarah Miller. And last week, Miss Danica talked to us about woolly dogs and cedar. So this week, I wanted to be able to continue to bounce off of what the other teachers have done and what we started with in the first week. The first week we did local tribe names. Now we're going to narrow it in right into our territory here. If I can get this going. All right. So hopefully you guys remember from week 1, if you guys participated, we had told the story of Basket Lady Swing. So I hope that whenever you guys look at this territory that you're noticing Basket Lady, Swayok. Remember, she was, a swing was created for her by the people. They would feed her and they would push her on the swing. And in exchange, she wasn't to eat any more kids, but we know how she is, and she didn't uphold to her part. So she ended up continuing to gobble up the kids. And it was little mouse that helped come up with a plan to get rid of her for good. And little mouse nibbled on the rope on each side of the swing. And when it snapped, she was going up over the Gulch, over the salt water, and she came smack dab in middle of what we now know as Camino Island and Whidbey Island. So there's Swayok, and her basket is Skagit Bay. All right, so we're going to narrow in on some of these territories. I want you to ignore number 7. We're going to go over 1 through 6, and then we'll have a bonus place name. But we're going to look at each one of these places, and we're going to learn how to say their names. And let's get started with number 1. Click with me. Come on. You can do it. There we go. All right. Actually, let's go through these first before we discuss them a little bit more. So number 1 is he-bulb. 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 Folly, number 2, right here in this territory. Kolsida, right here. Bos, this one's a review. Dx၀lãšucid. Alats, you guys got to hear this last week from Miss Danica. Dx၀lãšucid. Yalats, and this is another one she talked about. Dx၀lãšucid. So we have he-bulb, Kolsida, Dx၀lãšucid, and Dx၀lãšucid. All right. So here we go. Our first one, he-bulb. He-bulb. He-bulb is the territory that you may commonly know as Legion Park. So if you guys have ever been over to Legion Park and there's that beautiful lookout, that was a traditional village for our people. That was one of the places where the warriors were set up. If you go and stand there, and I highly encourage everybody to take a moment to go over there and stand there. Look at all of the territory that you can see. So right across the way, you've got Chitaks, you've got Priest Point. Then you go over to Skayuks, to Mission Point. You can see Hoishid over here, Camino Head. You can see Esalit. You can see Hat Island. You can see anybody coming from the waterways, any one of these waterways. And the warriors, they would be able to pass signals and let everybody know if there were war canoes that were coming in, so that at each of the village sites, they would be able to get the kids away from the water and get them to safety before any of the enemies came in. Hibob. Quite a few years ago, actually it's well over a decade, we had a government to government agreement with the city of Everett. And Eliza Davis, this is a shout out to Eliza Davis, she was able to share a government to government agreement that was translated into Lushootseed. Now, if you go to Legion Park today, you can see the Hibob, the Hibob lookout. There's a sign, and there's some information on some of the panels there. So I highly encourage everybody to go check out Hibob. Hibob Cultural Center was named after this prominent village. Hibob. So this is one of the easier ones. Next one we have the word right here, this first part of it, that means rock. And this QS means point, rock point. Rock Point is what is known today as Priest Point. So pre-contact Chitaks, Rock Point, and it's now known as the area of Priest Point. And here's a little fun fact that not many people may know of, or some of you may know about it. In the early 2000s, there was some excavation work that was taking place. They were trying to build something down at Chitaks, and they uncovered some remains, and it turned into this huge archaeological project. And we were lucky enough to be able to go down there and participate in the archaeological dig at Chitaks. We were able to go through some of what they were able to bring up and look at fish bones and bird bones, and some people found some artifacts. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see any of those or find them, but it was amazing to be able to participate in that and to learn about the different layers. When they would dig down into those spots, you could see the different layers of fires. So it was what helped tie us to that area and show its significance. Those layers of fire and the layers of the shell beds helped us know how many thousands of years that our people came to this area to harvest food from the water, to camp out, to live there. So whenever you think of Priest Point, I really, really want you guys to think of the word Rock Point. And maybe later on this week, I'll share a traditional story that's significant to this area. All right, the next one, Holsida. I wish I had an overhead view of Quilceda Creek. This area, when any of the intruders were coming in, this is where the women would take the children, and they would hide the children within some of the bushy areas. And this is a reminder of how one of those teachings, be seen and not heard. Well, this one is don't be seen, don't be heard. it was instilled within the kids to make sure that they were super quiet and to be aware of who was calling out to them. Sometimes intruders would try to lure kids out and they would call out to them and act like they were a relative. And this reminds me of another traditional story that we have of Owl and Chipmunk, where Owl is trying to lure Chipmunk to her by acting like she's her relatives. So this is a reminder of what was instilled within our kids at a young age, to listen to their parents and to follow those directions, to sit quietly, to be hidden. So that's within this territory. And I really wish we could see that intricate overhead view. But this is one of my favorite spots on the res to drive by and be able to see Quilceda Creek throughout the seasons. So this is Quilceda. 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 All right, next one. This is a review. In our first week, we talked about the word dxʷləšucid. Dxʷləšucid. I wish I could give you guys a pop quiz and ask you what the word dxʷləšucid means. But let's review this. The do is a directional term, to or towards. Lel means far. And then this ending op means bottom. So this beautiful picture, sunset at Tulalip Bay, you can't even see the sandbar. So it's a reminder that dxʷləšucid means far towards the bottom. So you have to go far towards the bottom of how far out the sandbar goes in order to land your canoe. And cousin Kana mentioned that you're not a real fisherman if you haven't discovered that sandbar while you're out there fishing. Dxʷləšucid, that's a good review one. Some of these parts of Tulalip Bay, when we go and we spend time here at this sacred space, you can look out. So we've got Skayuks, this is our bonus words, Skayuks, right here, Mission Point, Ghost Point, and Hermosa. I can't remember the word for Hermosa. I wish Michelle Miles was here. She would help me out. But when you look at the opening of the bay from different areas, right over here, you can see Camino Head. And from different positions, you can see Camino Head, you can see Hat Island, and off in the distance, you could see Whidbey Island. So it's a real beautiful area to just soak in the beauty of the territory around us. All right, moving on to Lushootseed. This is a different view of Lushootseed than what we see. This is the opposite side if we're looking out to looking out in the bay. So this is Lushootseed, and as Miss Danica mentioned last week, she touched on Lushootseed and what happened there. Lushootseed was a significant place for the women and the children to go and harvest clams. And I believe it was the mid 1800s, the summer of 1833, I have that written down. There was some type of an earthquake or something that caused for this whole part of the land to slide. So it used to come out, this would have came out all the way, and from whatever had happened, there was a mudslide. So this whole territory slid, and we lost relatives over there. We lost women and children that were harvesting in that area. And then remember that from that mudslide, from all of that land going into the water, it caused a tsunami that covered Hat Island. So it affected both of those sacred territories for us. So when you look out at Camino Head, Lushootseed. All right. And this right here, you might hear it as Hat Island or Gedney Island, but the word that I want you to carry with you from now on, asali. 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 That is, that's a small island. So like I said, with that tsunami wave that was caused by the falling of Lushootseed, it did affect some of our spots here on the island. One of the things, we don't necessarily have it documented as the meaning, but ch'as means child, ch'as, and ali means area. So we could look at this word and we could understand that with the women and the children going out to harvest clams, or with this island being utilized to protect the woolly dogs from being interbred or from any animals trying to kill them. This area was a child's area. So it was for children to go and harvest clams. It was for us to place the woolly dogs. So we could say that ch'asali comes from ch'as and ali, child's area. Ch'asali. Ch'asali. All right, here's our bonus one. We just had an event here. Sbeep-bada. 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 And I'm not quite sure how we spell it in English. Maybe S-P-E-E-B-I-D-A-H. Sbeep-bada. It comes from the word sbeep-bada. Sbeep-bada. Bada is a baby, or bada is a child, one's own child. Beep-bada is a baby. So this area, sbeep-bada. Sbeep-bada. There's some teachings that go with something that you could have seen within the hillside, a figure of a mother and her child, I believe. But I'll get more information on that and I'll share it with you later this week. What comes to mind for me when I think of sbeep-bada, not just the fact that we gather as a community here and we're able to enjoy some seafood together and we're able to get out there and pull in the nets. I think about how we have the teaching from Lizzie Christ. And Lizzie Christ, there's a story about when she lived in this area and at a young age, how she got on her canoe and she traveled to go harvest clams. And that's another story that we can share later on this week. But before we get into any storytelling, I wanted to make sure that we went over some of these words so everybody could learn how to say them. So let's review the words that we've gone over. Oh, number one, he-bulb. 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 Sali. Ch'akos. 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 Hiu. Olsida. Olsida. Bos. Dx၀-lēlap. Dx၀-lēlap. Salats. Lushootseed. Lushootseed. Yalats. Ch'asali. Ch'asali. And then we have the bonus one in there, but I didn't write it down. Number 7 would be sbeep-bada. 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 I don't want to take up any more of your time. I'm scheduling my lessons during the lunch hour so that if you're driving to get your lunch or you're sitting down to enjoy it, that you could just log in and participate and learn some of the history on local place names. Later on this week, we're going to talk about some of our developments, our housing developments that have names. We'll learn how to say each of those. And then I just lost my train of thought on what else we were going to do. But I want to keep focusing on some of those place names. Buildings. So within our community, what are some of the buildings or programs that are named in Lushootseed, so that when we see those as we're driving around the res and we look at those words, I want everybody to be able to understand what they mean and learn and practice how to say them. As always, if you missed any of the lessons and you wanted to check them out, visit our website, tulalip.com. If you have any questions or any requests, you can reach out to our manager. The Lushootseed department manager is Michelle Balaget. Her email's right there and her phone number. If you have any questions, any requests, please reach out to her. And I always want to give a shout out to Tulalip TV. They have a lot of great videos. Some of their history videos will touch on some of these place names. So I encourage you to hop over there and look for some of their history videos. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you guys tomorrow, Thursday at 12:30 for another lesson. Goodbye, friends. Take care.